Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for attending. I'm just looking to see if I can see who's all attending. Oh, yeah, there we go. Amanda, Chris, Claire, Deborah, Ed, so on. Thank you so much for jumping in. So we've got Ross from Yoga Marketing is going to come in today and talk a little bit about some social tools that we think are really going to help you take the business forward. And then Amy's going to give us a little bit of a talk because Amy does some of the social stuff, both in Yoga Alliance Professionals and Yoga Marketing. So she can directly relate as to how she's worked with these tools and used them. And then I've got a bit of a special offer at the end. So I'll kind of wrap things up at the end. So having said that, welcome along, Ross, and I'll hand over to you.
Thanks. Yeah, great to talk to everybody, and excited to be here. So I'll talk today about the new platform and how it can help you really streamline your social media presence. But I think in online social media presence, I think it's something that a lot of people don't know too much about. So just before I kick things off, the most recent stat that I saw, about 68% of people now, before they buy from you, before they use your services or show up to classes, they actually look you up on social media. 5-10 years ago, a lot of times people would go directly to your website, and that's shifted a lot. Now they actually look you up on social media first. About 68% will do that before really purchasing from you or interacting with you. So it's going to be the first impression that you leave for these potential students or our customers. So it's becoming more and more important to really have an effective online presence. And with that, I'll kind of talk about how we help manage that. Cool. Hopefully everybody can see my screen here. I'm gonna take that as a yes. Cool. So let's dive in and let's talk through it. So as mentioned, being active on social media is becoming more and more important. And the platforms, so there's a few different theories here, but the reality is you don't know where people are going to look you up. And it's why we've integrated so many social platforms into the tool, right? So if you want to be active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, Google My Business even, you can now do that all within one location. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. People are really going to look you up on there. Pinterest is the third largest platform now. This is where, especially for yoga content, Pinterest is an incredibly active community. So being able to syndicate content across all of these platforms at one time is something that we really wanted to be able to provide. On the left-hand side here, you'll notice the different sections, and I'll kind of go through them one by one, but we'll start with the content library. So this is unlimited storage for all of your images, videos, links, you name it. It's highly indexable, so if you want to search through things, you can. To add content into the content library, there's a lot of different ways to do it. So we'll start here with create content. You can add in your images, videos, and links. If anybody here is a Canva user, we do integrate directly with Canva. You can throw in your caption. So if I want to do my caption, and then as mentioned, it's important to be active on a lot of these social media channels. But your caption is going to differ depending, right? So for Twitter, it's going to be a little bit shorter. For Instagram, you're probably, you're allotted 30 hashtags. And very often I will suggest using all 30 because it's a great way to get more engagement on your content. And so from here, you don't even have to copy and paste. You can create lists and you just click and it adds the whole list in. Now, if you see, if I go to Facebook, I have one caption, Instagram, another caption. So when I send this post out, it will automatically update the caption depending on the platform that it's going to. Categories. So within the system, you can have categories, and this is going to play a pretty critical role throughout. So from in here, you can create schedules. So about 20 to 25% of time in terms of managing social media is spent on just scheduling content. And that's something that we really wanted to avoid. So from here, you can just create a category and you can create schedules based off of it. So if you want to do posts about, Yoga Flow Friday, you just give something a category of Yoga Flow Friday, and it's automatically going to populate into a schedule. that goes out when you want it to. I'll touch on this a little bit later, but these categories are pretty critical throughout the system. Other ways to add content in, of course, you can bulk drag and drop large files full of images or do CSV uploads. We also have recommendations built in. So you can type in any term you want. These are all copyright-free, attribution-free images. You can watermark them as they come in, however you want, and you can just click and add these in. We also have a partnership with Google News. So similarly, you can type in any term you want. You can click and add these in and schedule them to your social media channels. The last thing I'll touch on here is the auto import section. So if there are any blogs, either you write a blog or there's a blog that you follow that you think would be relevant to your audience, maybe you have some type of online store that you provide to your students, you can integrate those directly into the system. And then anytime there's a new blog post or if there's a new item in the store, it'll automatically pull those in and push them to your social media channels without you touching anything. There's even a system built in here that uses natural language processing and AI to write captions for you on these posts. Okay, so that's the majority of the create side of things. There is an approval section as well that I won't dive into too much, but if you and the team do want to go back and forth on collaborating on content, you can do that right through the approval section. So as far as scheduling content, there's a lot of different ways to do it, and I'll touch on all of them, but I am going to make some suggestions. So as far as scheduling content goes, you can go, again, right from the content library, you can click post now, or you can click and schedule right from here. There is a post now section. So if you want to send something out more immediately, you just throw in your caption, add your media, and you can click publish. By far and away, the best way to schedule content, though, is through these weekly schedules, right? The whole point of this is how can we really automate your online presence? And these weekly schedules will help do that. So if you come in here and click on create schedule, you can go to a weekly schedule and you can do, we'll just do yoga tip Tuesday. And every Tuesday at, let's just say 4:30 p.m., I want a post to go out that's some type of yoga tip. If I put 10 items in here, I can have 10 weeks worth of content because one's going to go out this Tuesday, the Tuesday afterward, the Tuesday after that. You can even set things to recycle. So maybe after 10 weeks, you actually want the schedule to start back from the beginning. You can do that as well. This doesn't need to be daily specific. They're very customizable. So I could say every Tuesday and Thursday, I want a post to go out. Again, the whole point of this is how can you be really active on social media with the least amount of time necessary so you can focus on other parts of the business. So what that looks like when it's done. So you can see here, we have our Yoga Flow Friday schedule. We currently have 2 items in there. So if I click here, you can see that this is set to go out this coming Friday. This will go out the Friday afterwards. And to show you how easy it is, I'm actually going to do one with you. So we'll go in here and we'll grab a yoga post. And so now we have this yoga post in the system. I can go in here and I can edit the caption. And then when I'm ready, all I have to do is give it this category. And that's it. So now I just scheduled this post to go out 3 weeks from now. Again, just trying to automate as much as possible. And there it is. The last thing I'll touch on is the calendar view. This is going to be everything that has already published out and everything that's going to be publishing out. It's totally interactive. So I can click and add something if I want. Your entire content library is live right here. So I can also just click and drag onto the content library or onto the calendar. If I do that, it'll automatically schedule that post for the statistical best time for that particular piece of content based off of your historical analytics and the social media accounts that you have linked up in here. I'll show you this data in just a second, but basically every time you add a post into our system, we analyze everything about it. So we use algorithms to figure out, is this an image? Is it a video? Is it a link? Does it have hashtags? Is it asking a question? You name it. And then we compare it against your historical analytics for the social media pages. And we say, when this type of content previously went out, what time did it perform best? And when you drag it onto the calendar, it automatically sends it out at that statistical best time. This should pretty drastically increase your engagement on your content. There's also an Instagram grid preview. So if you want to see what your Instagram grid is going to look like based off of what you currently have scheduled, you can do that as well. Okay, so diving into the last section here, we're going to talk about the monitor side of things. Recent posts is the first section here, and this is going to be everything you've posted out recently. A along with all of the engagement for each and every post. You can interact with comments from here. You can like them, all of that. Direct message management is built in as well. So you can populate your direct messages in here automatically, and you can respond to all your direct messages right within the system. You can track mentions. So anytime your studio is mentioned, or maybe a teacher is mentioned, or any of the pages in here are mentioned, it'll automatically populate those in, where again, you can engage with those. Social listening. So maybe there's external conversations that you want to build your reach, you want to build your audience. You can type in keywords and you can interact with those keywords and anybody who's publishing any content about them. The social inbox. So similar to direct message management, comments will populate into here. You can reply to all of them again in one location. When you're done, you can archive them. If you have multiple team members that you're adding in, you can assign them to different team members. You can have canned responses, everything that you need to manage your comments. And lastly, we'll touch on analytics. So the whole goal is how is this impacting my online presence? So with this, you can see for either each individual account broken out separately or all of your accounts, what's my follower count? What's been the change over the time period that I've selected? How many posts have I sent out? What are my total impressions, likes, comments, shares, clicks? What are my top posts? The insights is what I was referring to on the calendar. So for instance, for Yoga Alliance professionals, short text posts asking a question have statistically been 84.4% more engaging than other post types that we've sent out. And you can see the best time for this type of content has been between 1 to 3 p.m. Again, there's no benchmark data here. This is all very specific to your audience, and not only just your audience, but each individual social media profile. So if I change this to my Instagram page, you can see that the data is different because people interact differently with different types of content on different channels. And so, yeah, this is all automated for you. Community insights will give you demographic information, where your followers are coming from, things like average age, even industry type. You can zoom in or out. It is an interactive heat map if you want to get specific. All that, creepy data that marketers love. You can even see which industries, again, and a breakdown of that. Hashtag tracking. So I mentioned that you can save a list of hashtags in the system best for you. So you can track all of that right within the system. You can see which hashtags you're using most often, what's getting you the most views, what's getting you the most engagement, all of that to help shape that strategy. And even category reporting. So I mentioned this earlier. You can do things like Yoga Tip Tuesday, Yoga Flow Friday, whatever it is. Excuse my banal examples there, but however you want to set those categories up, you can do it, and then you can see which categories are providing the best engagement and the most views, and you can start tailoring it maybe more specific to that. If for some reason you want to generate a report with all this, you can just go down into the report section. I can easily generate a report if you want to send it internally to different team members or whatever that looks like. And you can send it out as a link, a PDF, or a CSV. And yeah, that's the gist of it. Happy to take questions, and Bruce, I'll let you take over here.
Yeah, so one of the things I always ask on these webinars is there two things. One, is there any tips on type of content from your experience? And also, is there any free stuff our members can do? So if somebody's not quite ready to sign up to use the tools, is there like one thing they could do on their own that would help improve their social presence? And talk a little bit about content, perhaps, if you can.
Yeah, great questions. So as far as content suggestions, I'll talk about a few different things. So one is consistency, right? Part of having an active presence and building that trust is just having an active social presence. I'm sure that many members in this audience, they've gone to buy something recently or used a service and they looked them up on social media, maybe saw that they haven't posted in 6 months, which definitely changes your opinion. So just having an active and consistent social presence is a huge thing. As far as what type of content, what type of content is good in there, Facebook right now, especially, is really prioritizing videos, right? So the way that the algorithms work, the more engagement that you get, the more people that they're going to show it to. With images, if that's going to look like a like. With a video, if somebody just watches that video for 5 seconds, that now counts as engagement. So they'll publish it to more people. That being said, again, content or even just image posts are great, but videos are definitely being prioritized. It also depends on the time of day. And this is where the analytics really help, right? Like videos on a Monday morning don't tend to perform that well because people are busy with work, as opposed to maybe videos later on in the evening when people are relaxing tend to perform a bit better. And so as far as, if you're not totally ready to dive in the system, completely understand, what can you be doing? I would still think about what social channels is your audience active on? And then I would still try and be as consistent on them as possible. So if you know that your audience is active on Pinterest, I would make sure that we have an active Pinterest account. If you're there on Instagram and Facebook, I think that's the minimal presence that you should have. And I would just be very consistent about still publishing on those two, which you can obviously still do directly.
Good. That's fantastic. The one thing I will say from my side, I always get as much out of these sessions as anyone on here when I'm looking at this stuff, is I know across Yoga Alliance professionals, we're very, very big on measurables and analytics. And even like the AI element you're saying, where the system eventually will have enough data to work out the optimal time to send things out for content. I mean, that for me alone, that's worth so much. And generally, I'm saying that not as a sales pitch, but to have that level of knowledge and information, it just gives you that edge in anything. So I think, the more you can measure stuff and the more statistics you've got and analytics you've got, it gives you the best chance to get heard and get seen on these platforms, So
yeah, 100% right. I mean, the reality is all these social platforms want you to spend money on social media, right? Like they want, so they've ratcheted down all the algorithms so that about an aggregate of about 5% of your audience is going to see what you post organically. So that means a few different things. One is, that doesn't mean that social media is not important, right? Because anybody, again, who's looking you up is still going to see that content, but your current audience is only going to see 5% of it. So the things like really in-depth analytics give you a tool to hopefully break out of that 5% and get your content seen by more people and, keep engaging with your audience.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let me ask one more question before I throw open for people in the chat. So I've run studios and taught yoga classes for 25 years nearly now. So I guess one of the things I would be thinking if I was a yoga teacher is, what's the best strategy and perhaps the best platform if I'm actively looking to get people to sign up for classes or workshops? So there's obviously content where you're just reinforcing your position as an expert, where you're giving information, etc. And then ultimately, hopefully, you're looking to at least generate leads or ideally get signups for classes or workshops. So from your experience, is there a better platform? Is there a better strategy and approach? So if somebody, whether they use this tool or they do it themselves, what is the best way to get A, leads, or B, even better, somebody actually signing up straight off for your classes through the social platforms?
Yeah. So again, a great question. So the two main ones, right? And I don't think this is going to be a surprise to anybody, Facebook and Instagram. The reality is when these people go to find out classes in their area and they want to say, what does the community look like at that class? I know personally for me, when I'm looking for a yoga class or any type of, especially fitness class, it's kind of a more intimate thing, right, than just going to the grocery store. And so I want to know a little bit about that class. I want to know a little bit about the instructors. And so, I think if you think about where they're going to look you up, the reality is it's probably going to be Facebook or Instagram. And let them know a little bit about your team. Let them know about the studio, other members there, testimonials, right? This is what's going to make people feel more comfortable to come to the class. So as far as strategy goes, that's something that I've seen be really effective. But for finding new people, I mean, there's things that you can do. So for instance, Pinterest is great for organic content, right? People are looking and searching through there constantly. So having an active, especially in the yoga community, having an active Pinterest presence, if maybe your audience hasn't experimented with that too much, I would highly suggest doing that, because I think it's another way to engage with people externally and maybe find new people in an area that would be looking to attend class. Yeah, that's just kind of my 2 cents. But again, YouTube is a great way to build your online following. Again, it's the second largest search engine. So if you're really, if you're an instructor, maybe putting a lot of your content online where people who are looking up specific poses or flows or whatever it might be can go to learn from an expert, where they'll find out more about you, which can help, build your entire social presence.
I guess that makes a lot of sense. So very last question, because I can see there is a question in there. Obviously, part of the advantage in using this tool, it's got a library of resources such as images. So in terms of what you were just saying there about that very personal touch and being part of a community, would you recommend then that you don't use stock images and you make sure you've got actual real images of yourself and the studio, etc.?
Yeah, so it just depends, right? The reality is, again, part of this is just making sure that you're consistent. Consistency, I'm going to keep saying that word here. It's just so important. So it is incredibly important to not just use stock images and to actually give some real life to your online presence, right? Let them know who you are. But at the same time, it's time you have to, that means you got to take pictures, you got to do all this stuff and once it's in here, you can set it to recycle, you can put it on repeat, you can do a lot with that content. But if you just want something to supplement, you didn't have time to take a picture, you don't want to use something old, you can grab something in here just to make sure that you're hitting that consistency. It's good. The reality is having a mixture is totally fine and probably even better.
So if you didn't know in the early stages, would you recommend just getting early on quite a lot of content into the system so that the AI part can kick in and do its job and start to figure when the best time is, the best days, the best times of days to send content? So would you say if somebody does sign up with this, to make best use of the AI tool, should they just really put a lot of content and then the system will start to work out patterns and see this is what I recommend you start doing?
Yes, completely. So I always suggest lean into this early on, right? So really dive in head first, create your content, build your schedule, set things to recycle, and let the system automate your social presence at the beginning. And let it get those statistics built up. Add, the great thing about this is you can lean in on afternoon, right? Spend a couple hours really adding in all this content, making sure it looks the way that you want it to. And then you can really take a step back. Maybe you still want to log in to manage your comments and interact with direct messages from one location to make that easier, track your mentions, all that good stuff. But the reality is you can spend an afternoon, grab the content that's already in here for you, add in your content, schedule it all out, and then forget about it for a few months. Like that's the point of this, is to not have to pay somebody, considerable amount of money to manage this for you. You just let the system do it. But that does require leaning in at the beginning, and dedicating those few hours to set it up.
Right. Okay, let's open it up. Amy, do you want to bring in? I can see there's a couple of questions in the Q&A and maybe the chat as well. So do you want to relay them?
Yeah, will do. So we'll start with one from Amanda in the chat. She is asking if it's part of the Yap membership or does it have another cost? Is it separate?
It is. All yoga marketing stuff is separate, but we've got a couple of slides at the end here that will show you the costs and everything involved in that. But you'll be surprised. I can tell you that the basic starter one works out at £1.61 a day. I mean, that's not even a Starbucks, is it? Like half a Starbucks or a third of a Starbucks. So it works out at £149 a month for the basic one. But I'll go into there's a couple of options you've got. So I'll give you the two options after all the questions. But it really is sweeties. The thing I always say with this stuff, which I'll cover at the end, is how much is an hour of your time worth? That it always comes back to that for me. Does it make sense that I'm spending lots of time manually trying to collate all this versus paying £49 a month and then it's all done and it's automated and you've got the AI taking analytics in the background and working out the best thing. When you take that approach, it's very different. You start to see, yes, I could probably do all this myself. I could definitely do it all myself, but how long is it going to take me and how effective is it going to be? So You'll see the two slides in a few minutes. I'll put them up. You'll see the two pricing options. But the stuff that Ross has been talking about, you're getting all of that for the special offer of 49. It's usually 69 a month, but we're going to do a deal for you guys at 49. And you can cancel at any time with it. You're not tied in. You can do 1 month and cancel. So yeah, hopefully we've made it super affordable.
Cool, that answered all the other questions that we had.
Okay, Amy and Ross, I know you were kindly, you had another meeting scheduled and you jumped in for us today. So let me know if you need to jump off this and I can close this out. But Amy, do you just want to give a few minutes, because I know you use this stuff and maybe from a slightly different angle as somebody who's using this stuff, where you see the benefits and how it saved you time, etc.
Yeah, so for me, I've only really started using it. I've not delved deep into it just yet, but I can already see that it will save me a lot of time in the future, and already has done, because what I was doing in the past is I was going into each individual social media platform and analysing the posts individually and figuring out the engagement rates and the click-through rates and everything like that, and then sort of trying to figure out and categorize, okay, this was a photo, this was a video, did I ask a question? And honestly, it took a lot of time to then collate that information, put it into similar formats and put it into a spreadsheet to then provide to management to be like, this is what we're doing, this is what's working, this is what's not working. Whereas with this tool, it's just as simple as putting in a date and I can basically compare all the accounts in one go, or I can go deep dive into each individual account, and it's just pretty easy to grab the information from there and also guide future social media posts as well. So it's already saved me a ton of time.
So I can see on the back of that, I caught part of the question from Victoria. They're talking about Hootsuite, and I've actually used Hootsuite years ago. So whether Ross or Amy wants to jump in, but I know, Amy, you were looking a few days ago at the differences between what we're offering and what Hootsuite offers, and there was a couple of quite major changes. I don't know, differences, sorry. I don't know if Ross wants to answer that or you want to answer it, or both of you, between you.
I can remember one distinct difference, and that was the Hootsuite content library doesn't actually come in until their business plan, I think it was, and their business plan is over like £500 a month.
Wow.
So, you know, obviously this tool allows you to put all your content in one place anyway, and you can pick and choose from there. Ross, I don't know if you know much more about the comparisons.
Yeah, no, it's I know a good amount of it. Actually worked pretty closely with a Hootsuite executive, so I know a pretty good amount about the differences. The main things are going to be automation. There is far more automation built into this tool. Bruce, I think, as you eloquently said it, how much is an hour of your time worth? And that's really a major focus of the platform, is how can we automate as much as possible? And then the other parts of it are the analytics. There are much deeper analytics built into this platform to truly analyze and understand your audience. And then, you know, you had talked a little bit about it, Amy. There's, instead of having to tack on, you know, a price for content library and then a price for analytics and then a price for community management, it's all included in the price that you're discussing, Bruce. So hopefully more for considerably less.
Good. Amy, I can see there's a couple other questions.
Yes.
In chat.
So
I do have
Hannah,
to hop off here in about 30 seconds, just as a heads up.
Okay, that's fine.
thank you. Hannah is asking, she is new to social media. She has an old account. It's very student focused. All of her photos are 10 years old. Should she just delete it and start again? And she also wants to know, how do you take good photos and videos?
It's a great question. I would definitely suggest not deleting it. Again, you know, it at least gives you some historical context. And then as you start posting more and more right now, you'll just supplement that. You'll just add a lot to that and build that presence, but there's no reason to necessarily reset. As far as taking good online photos and videos, again, I think it's just be transparent, right? Let your audience really into your studio, into your life. Let them know who you are. That matters so much more than the actual quality. Don't get me wrong, quality is important to some degree, but almost every iPhone or Android or whatever might be out there has a pretty decent camera on it at this point. It's more of, let be transparent, give some personality to your content. That's going to go the furthest for you. With that, I do have to hop off, but I really enjoyed this. I'm always happy to talk and answer more questions. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Ross.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Yeah. So on the back of that last thing, I remember when I started the yoga shop years ago, 25 years ago, I always used to get things in the yoga shop that I thought were super helpful to people that I was using myself. And one of the first things we brought in was the books from Bihar. So some of you guys, or all of you guys out there, might be familiar with some of the great books that come from Bihar. And in the early days, I don't know if it's still the case, they were actually printed at the ashram. And I used to get like pages upside down, pages missing, and the number of complaints we got from people who were used to Western style books going, "You've missold us," it's, all that sort of stuff. But they were missing out, as Ross said, the content. The content was absolutely amazing. And for me, the content overrides any presentation qualities or level of videos of that. It's really all about the content, I think, for sure. Okay, I can see, obviously, people have got other things to go to. So shall we put quickly the 2 slides up, Amy, so I can just cover what's involved?
Yeah, sounds good. I'll just share my screen just now.
Okay. So there's 2 options here. One's called the Social Starter Lite, which hopefully we're going to look at in a second. There you go. So that's all the stuff that we covered today. So the do-it-yourself social media scheduler, obviously you can schedule to all these platforms, the catalog of images and stuff you can use. For me, the biggest one, I really think genuinely, or the biggest 2, is the intelligent AI system. I just think that's the best use of technology, where it's really working out the optimal time where you send things. And we actually do look at all that stuff, and we're working with Yoga Alliance professionals, the best time to send emails and the best time to post things, etc. And as part of that, the global analytics. And of course, you're not tied in, cancel at any time. So normally it's £69 a month. If you want to take the offer up by the end of September, it's $49 a month. And that will just remain at $49 as long as you want to use it. And if you want to stop at any time, that's absolutely fine. It's no problem. The second one, for people who want to go a little bit more, so there's always people who want to go a little bit deeper into it. We've got the Pro version. And really, the number one big difference in the Pro version is that you get content created for you. So if you're worried about coming up with content, or you haven't got time to come up with content, then this might be the solution for you, where as part of the regular pack, they would generate a weekly post over 3 months. So the Social Media Pro pack, you commit to 3 months. You pay for a quarter up front. And that includes 12 posts per quarter. So that's 1 post a week going out. But again, we want to over deliver to you guys who've turned up and taken the time to commit and come to the webinar. So a couple of bonuses in there. Again, if you were to sign up for this pack before the end of September, and again, there's no long-term commitment. You can cancel at any time. You can pay for 1 quarter, take as much as you can, and then drop out. So, but if you were to sign up before the end of the month, then a couple of bits of added value. We'll increase the posts from 1 a month to 3, 1 a week to 3 a week. That means you'd be getting 36 posts for that quarter. Now, there's quite a bit of value in that. It's £900 if you go out to someone. We've taken actually quite a low value in terms of the cost per post in doing that. But if you went out to someone and get professional content written, it would probably be a lot more than that. But we valued that at £900. Also, a social page build is included. So you could pick any one of those platforms, and we'll get our team of experts to build the page out for you. So if you're somebody who's really not sure what they're doing in social media, and even if you've got a page up, you might want to use that to get a new platform up. So maybe you're on Facebook and you're thinking, maybe I should be on Instagram or Pinterest as well. Then we're going to include a page build that's normally on the site. You'll see it in the Yoga Marketing for $197. And then just as a little thank you, if you sign up for just 1 quarter, you will also get an Amazon gift card for £30. So you can use that to indulge yourself in any way you want. So that total sign up for just 1 quarter, $297. Normally, you're going to get a value worth about $11.27 there. So just that 1 quarter alone can really kickstart everything for you with some of these bonuses. But if you don't fancy that, you've got the £49 a month, which is £1.61 a day, or you have got the main one, the quarterly one with the content, which works out at £3.25 a day. So you can see when you break it down to a daily level, it's super affordable. And if not, then hopefully some of the tips that Ross has given will enable you to actually do some stuff yourself if you don't feel ready for the tool. The last thing I'll say, because I can see there's a couple other questions quickly, is I keep saying this strategy in everything I do is don't think about money out your pocket or money out your bank. Find a way to use what you love doing, which is teaching yoga, to pay for this. So say you went for the £49 a month one. Instead of thinking, I'm going to take £49 out my bank, how could you earn an extra £49 by teaching yoga? So that's probably a pretty cheap private lesson. So could you do one private lesson a month? That covers the cost of this. And that's the way I recommend building all this stuff in your business. Whatever we talk about, don't think like, oh God, I can't afford an extra £49. Think, yeah, I could probably do an extra one private lesson, or I could do a workshop, or whatever it might be. And that covers the cost of it. So in exchange for you doing what you love, you get the chance to do your business. So it's better a win-win. So any sort of final questions, Amy, that's coming?
I will just say something to add on as well. It is worth just checking out the Yoga Marketing website regardless, because they do have a blog, and there is a few posts on there such as social media ideas, what hashtags to use, things like that. If you are just looking for any small pieces of information to help, then that is on there as well.
Oh, there you go, fantastic.
So,
we're going to keep adding to that. The big part of this is trying to add value here as much as possible. So we'll keep adding to those blogs, especially the questions you're asking.
So Victoria's wondering, if she started with the quarterly one, could she also be eligible for the £49 a month if she dropped it down to that after the first quarter?
Yeah, okay, yes. Yes, we'll do that. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can do that.
And there's that one. Susie's asking, do we provide technical support for the social media yogi dinosaurs?
When you say technical support, do you mean more training rather than something go wrong? So obviously stuff going wrong with the platform, you would obviously deal with the platform. So if it was Facebook or that and there was technical issues. But yeah, we'll make sure that you're definitely up and running and you've got some training. We're recording this, by the way, so that initial training that Ross gave there, you'll have access to that. But there's actually other videos we've got shot that take you through step by step.
Yeah, and am I right in saying that we do have plans in the future to do some sort of like mini courses for people like yourself, Susie, about how to actually use the platforms and where to find the information that you need?
Yeah, one of the things we're looking at doing, because I've found this the best way and stuff I'm doing, because I'm continuing to develop and grow. I have mentors I work with. I do a lot of this stuff. And the best way is, instead of just doing workshops, the ones I found the most productive are workshops where you do it live in the workshop. So, and that's usually done best over maybe a couple of sessions. So maybe over the course of 3 or 4 weeks, we say we're going to do a weekly half-hour or 1 hour slot. And in the first session, we'll set up your Facebook page and we'll add content. We'll do this. Second session, we'll look at Pinterest. So you actually would sit down and actually build it with us together. And that's the best way, because then we can collectively deal with any questions that come up. Also, you'll be part of a support group. So when we set these things up, there'll be breakout rooms and things where you support each other as well. So a big part of this isn't just us supporting, but what I'm super keen is that as a community of yoga teachers and trainers, that we support each other. I think there's always this slight kind of wariness about sharing things amongst teachers, because sometimes teachers view each other as competition. But I actually want to try and break the back on that and get us working together as a community so that we can support each other and share and help each other with this, because we're all part of doing the same thing and serving the world with yoga. So 2 things, yeah, we will offer with this. If you sign up to this, we'll definitely make sure we sit and make sure it's working for you and you know what you're doing. But as Amy said, past that, we're looking to add sort of development workshops on things like social media in particular and marketing. So you'll have the chance to go even deeper, but absolutely you'll be supported with this. We won't just sell you this and drop you in it and leave it to you.
One more question by Ellie. So she's wondering if you can link more than one Instagram account. I believe you can, Ellie. If I'm not mistaken, there is 7. I think you can connect 7 accounts. Any of them can be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., etc. But what I'll do to get you a definitive answer on that, I will find out for you and let you know, and maybe even include it in the follow-up email to this webinar as well, just in case anyone else is curious.
Great. Fantastic. Good question. Really good question. Anything else then?
That is everything so far. Yeah, that's everything.
Great. So just by a quick show in the chat room, I'm always looking to make sure that we're on point with what we're doing. So are you finding these short half-hour webinars useful? Even if you're not ready to sign up and join, you'll notice that if you've done a couple of these, that I always ask the presenter, is there some free tips? Like if somebody's not quite ready to spend money and get the tools, is there something that can help you guys? So I'm curious to see if you're finding these sessions helpful and if there's anything in particular you want us to cover. Because again, we're here to serve you. So if there's particular topics or things you want us to do, super happy to make sure we're getting that information. And you'll always get a recording of this stuff, so you can always look back. Okay, great. I can see some of the comments. I appreciate that, guys. So the last thing I guess is we will do a follow-up email, but Amy, can you drop the link if people are ready right now to sign up? Can you drop a couple of links in the chat? But we will do a follow-up email, so don't worry if you don't want to pick it up. And we'll also send this slide out so you can actually see everything we've got listed here. Remember, the offer's on to the end of September, so you don't have to jump in now. You can have a think about it. And even if you decide after September, you can obviously still get the products. You just wouldn't get all the additional sort of bonuses and stuff like that. I like to call these, Amy always laughs, I call these ethical bribes. And the reason I'm saying an ethical bribe is I want to push you to take action on this stuff. Because the only way to make change is to make a change and take action. So if you feel a little bit stuck and you feel a little bit overwhelmed, then you got to shake things up a bit and change something. And I think you'll notice on the Yoga Marketing website, we created something called Easy Wins. And the idea behind the Easy Wins were pretty much as the name says, something that's super affordable, that's not going to break the bank, but something that you can get pretty fast results on. So we'll include it in the newsletter, but you'll see the Easy Wins where there's super affordable products that you can quickly implement, that you can get some great results from super fast. So that was a actual planned out approach we had, where we thought, okay, we know you don't want to spend loads of money without seeing results. So what can we put together around marketing and social media that will help a lot? So do check that out. We'll do a follow-up email. Thank you so much for giving us your time today. I know your time is precious. So hopefully you find that helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. And thank you, Amy and Ross, who's left us now.